But the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle, and I think we will be able to settle. Yeah, Brian.
As the peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, you know, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan, look at Thailand, look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman, very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan. And you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed, and I've saved millions and millions of lives, and I think we're going to have success with this war. Wait, please.
This, President Zelensky, this is your 3rd time over here. Oh. And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For you, by the way. This is your 3rd time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the 2 previous times here at the White House? And how confident are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes, about our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we begin to understand each other. Yes, and I know that President is briefed very well about the situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on in the battlefield in Ukraine, and I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But we are still in war, and I hope we can manage.
I think it's important. Some countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that it's impossible.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
They cannot be expelled from NATO.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
President,
That's of interest.
Mr. President.
They're protected by... Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And if
I do.
So, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took, that was an unbelievable military maneuver the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen. And, you know, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every country, Christian, you had every country, many countries involved, and we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yeah.
On Venezuela, there are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are there survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines, and that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to it. I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away, actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon. And it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal. But one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. Okay?
Putin-Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin is your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii, and she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii, right? You know who that is, right? She's another beauty.
President Trump, on Putin, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am. But, you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them. And I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah, a little time.
Is your gut instinct
it's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, you know, in war you have a lot of luck too. You know, people, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling and some brilliant general said, let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway, right? So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. You know, there's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats will give you credit? Do you think Democrats will give you credit when you finally end this war, like they did with the war in the Middle East? And
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion, and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally, from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Have you authorized CIA operations in Venezuela as part of?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world. I'll say that.
It's been reported, Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Start moving. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Brett.
And what an ending to a bilateral meeting there by President Trump hosting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. Joining us to discuss is Paul McCarthy, Senior Research Fellow for European Affairs at the Heritage Foundation's Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom. First of all, good afternoon to you, Paul. So this meeting comes, you know, just a day after a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, which he said was very productive. Can you tell us what is different at this point in time? How close are we to a peace deal?
Well, it's great to be with you. It is hard to figure out whether we are closer or not. But one thing that we do know is that Donald Trump is going to work day and night to end this war, as he did and is doing right now in Gaza, in the Middle East. And he's going to continue working very hard towards that. What we have to understand is Donald Trump has been very consistent on two things. One, he supports an independent Ukraine, and he also wants to end this war. And he is doing that by providing weapons to Europe and is expecting Europe to really step up to the plate as well with its own support for Ukraine, indeed their own defense support through NATO. This telephone conversation that the president had yesterday is an important step forward, and it is the way that President Trump really approaches peace negotiations. He wants to talk to both sides. So yesterday he had a conversation on the phone with Putin, and today he is meeting with the Ukrainian president. And I hope that we can come to an agreement on this terrible war where so many people have died.
So, Paul, we heard in that bilateral meeting between Trump and Zelensky, which is his third visit, actually, Trump said many times that Putin wants to see an end to this war. I'm wondering, what does Putin actually want, you know, in order for him to really pull back his troops?
Well, I wish I could get into the mind of Vladimir Putin, but we know a few things about how he operates. He wants to make sure that Ukraine is unusable for the NATO alliance, first of all, but also as a Western ally, generally speaking. And he has done that by taking as much territory as he can to achieve that goal. What we have to do, and what I think President Trump is trying to do, is make the price too high for Vladimir Putin to continue his war of aggression against Ukraine.
What is your view on whether the U.S. should send Tomahawk missiles? And that was one of the points, too, in that meeting.
I think that we focus too much on specific weaponry. There were previous debates about other types of weapons, should they be provided to Ukraine or not. What is important is that we give Ukraine the means to inflict as much damage on the Russian effort to defend their territory in the face of Russian aggression. And I believe that the United States will continue to do that.
And as well, Paul, perhaps you're aware of this already, but Russia's offensive momentum has slowed significantly by about 50%, and this is according to a new British Ministry of Defense intelligence report. What do you think about that? How do you read it? Is Russia at a point right now that it is more likely than before to accept a peace deal?
Russia is facing some severe economic problems that are gathering. There's a real economic storm gathering for Russia. And their debt is increasing. They are not able to put as much money into the war in Ukraine as they were doing before. And I think this is, I am not surprised at all, to answer your question specifically, that the Russian effort is slowing. As President Trump has mentioned time and time again, he has pointed out that Vladimir Putin's ability to capture territory has taken Russia a very, very long time, and pretty much a crawl over 3 years of fighting. So this should not be surprising. And I think that the United States, and I believe President Trump wants to do that, is to continue to give Ukraine the means to defend itself against Russia, to really grind their advance in Ukraine to a halt.
And Paul, as you're aware, President Trump has mentioned the cost of human lives in this war many times. Every time in a meeting with Zelensky and others, Trump is saying that thousands of soldiers are being lost every single week. How sustainable do you think this war is physically?
The sad fact of the matter is that Russia has more troops at its disposal to put into this war effort than Ukraine. And one of the problems that we have, so on the Russia side, you have these gathering economic problems, but on the Ukrainian side, you have the problem of men to fight on the battlefield. And it's a race against time, ultimately. And that's why Donald Trump is working very hard to bring this conflict to a conclusion as quickly as possible.
All right, I'll just end with this question. You said earlier perhaps there is too much of a focus on weaponry. So in your mind, what is the #1 tool then that the U.S. can realistically use to as leverage right now to pressure Putin to end the war?
To be specific, what I meant is specific types of weaponry. Weaponry, of course, is very, very important to provide to Ukraine, and that will continue. What is going to be critical in this effort, and it's something that Donald Trump has said time and time again, is that the Europeans step up to the plate and provide not only military means, which are very, very important, including weapons, but also support to Ukraine in other forms, including support to the government, governmental operations, to hospitals and health and so forth, to keep the Ukrainian people fighting to defend their territory and in the future.
Okay, Paul, really great to speak with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you today.
John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor.